So on E65 we made 492 and then 445 foot-pounds of torque, sorry.
J like the letter, I'm making several waves. I know the mission is same. I made a splash, now all of my passes last like running a race with Usain. I keep it coming like this a buffet. And if I'm stumbling, I'm in the graves. Never gon' fumble it. I get the bag and I run with it, gunning it, gunning it, gunning it, gunning it.
It's back. There's probably not much footage from before as it got lost. But Arseni's car is back. We had it on the dyno, do you remember, a month ago?
A couple months ago.
Yeah, it's a while ago. We brought it in because he'd done a 2-litre swap from a Golf R, and there's a whole bunch of other stuff which I'll do a walk around and show you. But it's no longer a 1.8, it's a 2-litre. He did the swap himself, and we'd been tuning it remotely, but fortunately for us, he's local. So for the final dyno session, or tuning, should I say, we brought him in for a dyno session, but that didn't go that well. We had a few mechanical issues. He had installed some clutch packs. I'm not 100% sure what happened, but the transmission was binding, and they eventually let go. So took the car back, fixed that, brought it back on, I believe, which is stock clutches now, which is fine for the time being. They probably won't last that long at this power level, because we'll show you the power graph in a minute of what we finished up with. So yeah, he brought it back, we wrapped that up. Didn't take too long to get the tune pretty much dialed in. 2 revisions and then a bunch of street tuning, just dialing in the transmission because it's a kind of a funky swap. So I'll pop the hood and show you. He may kill me if I get some bits wrong, but he can correct me. I believe this is from a 7.5 Golf R. Don't remember what the engine code is. It's a DLR. Okay, so yeah, it's a late model engine from 7.5, and then it's totally stock, like bottom end, head stock, but he did install the Turbo Concepts IS38-600 V2 turbo that we have previously used on our S3. So he's basically followed the same sort of recipe. He was looking for 500 horsepower. He asked what turbo we would recommend. That's what we recommend. It's got really good sort of like down low power, like drivability is really good. Comes on strong around 3,000 RPM. It's not super laggy. So he went with that turbo, CTS downpipe, not catted, so catless. Drop-in replacement intercooler, Unitronic intake, and he has, I believe it was a CTS MPI kit on here, and a few other bits and bobs. So it's a very sort of like simple recipe. That's something we've done quite a lot of, so we know how this behaves. The uniqueness is that he's still using the stock transmission, so it's a DQ250 from the Alltrack, whereas this engine would have been paired with a 381 originally, so that's where the kind of funkiness comes in. It's using the Golf R ECU with the DQ250. So there was a little bit of coding that was required. It was a little bit difficult to get all the faults figured out, which we kind of worked with one another. There was a few things that he needed to correct in the wiring and some of the bits that were missing for the thermostat and the DSG cooler. Got that all figured out, everything works, no faults. And so like now, honestly, you start the car and it just drives like it's totally like stock, like OEM. Wouldn't even know. So it's super fast. I think Brian's going to be a little bit disappointed. He may no longer have the fastest Alltrack. He'll have to change that to stock engine. Yeah, let's do a walk around. I'll show you the rest of the bits because he's done a full interior swap as well. Golf R interior, Golf R cluster, the Golf R steering wheel. It's super OEM plus. It's great. It's like how it would have come from the factory. I love that. But the reason it's on the hoist is we're actually doing our Haldex spring install and a tune for him. because now it makes so much power that it will just blow the blow the tires off, so to speak, when you're doing a launch, or even in second gear. If you romp on it, it'll spin. So we need to get a little bit more traction to the rear so it can hook up. And I think we've proven that our Haldex spring and tune does the job. So we'll get that installed for him, and then once we've done that, we're giving it back to him, and then he can do some driving, get some feedback. Spent a long time yesterday dialing the TCU tune, just getting the drivability and shift points really sort of set up for how I think the car should be, but that's a can of worms because everyone drives slightly different. Yeah, other than that, this time around, it's been super easy to deal with. Last time it was a little bit of a headache because the whole clutch situation, it was a little frustrating. But yeah, hopefully he's happy.
Install our Haldex spring upgrade in this MK7.5 Alltrack. What? So fast!
Okay, so we ended up peak horsepower. This is on E65. I failed to mention it's on Flex as well. So it's on our Flex setup. So on E65, we made 492.5. Let's just call it 493, why not? And then 445 foot-pounds of torque, sorry. You can see how strong the turbo comes on at 3,000. And we taper it in just to be nicer on the drivetrain. That's why the peak torque is at just shy over, like, what's that, 4,200 RPM. So it feels like it just keeps pulling. It's real great, nice flat curve, basically. Super fast. I'm a little disappointed we couldn't crack that 500 at the wheel mark. This turbo has been proven to make like 550, 560. So he does have a full exhaust system. So there's definitely potentially a hardware restriction somewhere. We did remove the intake on one dyno pull just to see if that was the restriction, which it wasn't. So even though the exhaust was recently replaced, I still believe that potentially is a restriction. Just on the Alltrack setup, just the way it's designed, because we added like a 1.5 PSI and 1 degree of timing. It didn't pick up any power at all from the previous tune to adding more power. So like the graph was identical. So that basically kind of just showed us that there's a hardware limitation. There was, nothing crazy. We're not octane limited at that point at this power level on E65. So yeah, I mean, the ambient air temperature when we was doing this wasn't in our favor, especially with the humidity. But so on a cooler day, it's definitely at 500. And you put it on any other dyno, it's going to read something different. They're just a tuning tool. But I like to see 500 on our dyno, because if it makes 500 on our dyno, it's fast. Yeah, so we'll see. He may change some stuff up so he can crack that magical number. But honestly, 7 horsepower you're not going to feel that. So I think he'd be happy regardless. But I do know he has version 2 sitting at home. So we'll see what he does over the winter.